Hi, I'm Hayley Westhoff, and I am a Chicago real estate agent, and we're here today to talk about Chicago public schools and what you need to know. Is your head spinning with how to navigate the Chicago public school system? Well, you are not alone. When my kids were approaching school age, I remember my mind being mush with no great resource to learn from. So I'm going to give you a 101 class and make you an expert in 5 minutes. Chicago actually has some of the best schools in the nation, according to many sources like niche.com and US News and World Report. So let's dive in. First, it's important to understand that there are 5 different kinds of schools. There are neighborhood schools, choice schools, selective enrollment schools, magnet schools, and charter schools. When it comes to Chicago public schools, neighborhood schools are the most straightforward, but let's break it down. If you want a surefire way to get your kids into your desired school, this is going to be your best bet. Neighborhood schools must enroll any student living within its boundary. If you want to make certain that an address falls within your desired school district, go to CPS locator site linked here. Have you ever heard of choice schools and always wondered what the heck that means? Let's go through it. Choice schools are lottery-based schools. During the selection process, a computerized lottery will randomly fill the assigned seats of choice elementary schools, and the application system will try to place the student in the highest ranked selective enrollment elementary school on their application. I know you've heard of a selective enrollment school, but don't know exactly what that means, so let's discuss that here. Selective enrollment schools. Students must apply to these schools, and no one is guaranteed a spot. Selective enrollment has a testing aspect to it, and it also uses a socioeconomic tier system. There are 4 tiers, Tier 4 being the highest socioeconomic, and Tier 1 being the lowest. Ultimately, a student who falls into Tier 1 will be accepted into a selective enrollment high school with a lower test score than a student who falls into Tier 4. Students can apply up to 6 selective enrollment schools. There are minimum cutoff scores for each school, which change every year and are different for each tier. Selective enrollment does not consider siblings. Admission for one student does not impact admission for another student. To find out what tier you're in, go to the website schoolinfo.cps.edu/school locator linked here. Some examples of selective enrollment schools are Hawthorne, Pritzker, and then for high schools, Lane Tech, Walter Payton, and Whitney Young. And magnet schools, what the heck are those? These schools admit students within their boundary based on a lottery system. Any leftover spots are opened up to students across the city based on the tier system. Examples of magnet schools are Disney, Ravenswood, and Senn High School. Charter schools. Charter schools set their own enrollment policies, so we won't discuss these in detail. Let's talk about the application process. Applications open in the fall, and you can apply up to 20 choice schools and 6 selective enrollment schools, and you'll select schools in order of preference. Students applying to a selective enrollment school will take a test in the fall. Typically, testing takes place between September and February for elementary, and the HSAT for high school students in the fall. The selection process will be in the early spring and is based on the order that you rank the school, the number of seats available, each program's selection process, or the priority preferences such as sibling, attendance, or proximity to the school. You will receive offers from choice schools and selective enrollment schools in February for high school and in March for elementary schools that you can accept or reject. If you didn't get into the school of your choice, you will join a waiting list, and results from that will be announced approximately 3 weeks later. A really helpful website with all this information is go.cps.edu linked here. Some tips and advice. Tip number 1, do not believe real estate listings boasting about their applicable schools. Do your own homework and go tour the school. Schools offer tours typically 1 day a month. Just like a home, a school may be very different in person, and you'll get a different vibe, and just know if it's right for you and your family. Tip number 2, Take greatschools.org with a grain of salt and learn to understand how they do their ratings. For all of you who view listings on Zillow, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I can personally say that the school that my kids attend, which I absolutely love and think is amazing, got docked 3 out of 10 points in 1 year just based off low attendance, which I personally don't agree with. The best site, in my opinion, is the CPS site itself, where you can get statistics on academics, demographics, information on programs, and extracurriculars for each individual school. Tip number 3, talk to parents and get the inside scoop. There's nothing more valuable than speaking to someone about their personal experience and asking them questions you won't be able to find on any site. In certain situations, I've put my buyers in touch with parents in a particular school, but also finding a Facebook group in the area and asking on there will give you invaluable insight. Final tip number 4, don't jump on the bandwagon. Remember that each kid and family has unique needs and wants. Are your kids athletic and are sports important? Do your kids need specialized attention in certain areas? Do they thrive in smaller environments and get lost in a crowd? Do you want them to be able to walk to school? Are you interested in certain programs like foreign language? These are all things that you need to think about when deciding what school is right for you and your children. I'm happy to talk you through this and help you find a home in a CPS school district that makes sense for you and your family.